Hey, welcome back to The Dive. Today we're chatting with Chris Vermuelen from the Technical Traders. But before we dive into things, consider hitting that subscribe button below. Hey Chris, welcome back to The Dive.
Hey, thanks for having me, Cassandra.
Okay, so let's start off. The Johnson & Johnson vaccine just got paused. How do you forecast this impacting equity markets?
I think it's going to be a little bit of a shock to the system, but really, I think we're going to actually see healthcare biotech kind of continue to muscle their way up. Obviously, if one company is struggling, it's actually going to put a lot more upside potential on a lot of other stocks, a lot of other companies in the industry. So, I mean, we're seeing the biotech really actually surge today. What we're doing this interview. So, I don't think it's that big of a deal, but obviously, if it's been halted, anybody who's had it or was thinking of getting it is definitely going to have people scratching their heads. The question is, do you want to get it? Do you want to wait until maybe more of them work the bugs out of them, or what? Right? So I think it's just a little hiccup in the system, and it's going to make people think twice about maybe getting it right away. You might want to hold off.
Bitcoin hit all-time highs this week as markets began to focus on the Coinbase IPO. What are the key levels we should be watching for Bitcoin?
Sure. Well, Bitcoin's it's in a raging bull market. It's going parabolic, especially when you look at it on a monthly chart. I think 72,000 is kind of the next upside target. That's based on short-term price patterns that are playing out. So there's quite a bit of upside. But when you actually look back at the weekly chart or just zoom out on the daily chart, it's starting to show signs of exhaustion. The fact that we keep seeing the price rally up and then pull back and go to another new high and pull back really sharply, it's done this 3 times. And it's actually a pattern that I call 3 surges to a high. And usually after a third surge, we can see price kind of stall out and then roll over and completely tank. So while it's in a bull market, I think it has potential to go to 72 and beyond. When it does reverse, this is a type of pattern that is going to catch a lot of people off guard. I could see it being back at 50,000, 40,000, maybe even like 30,000 very quickly within a few weeks. So it's going to be interesting. It's a very emotional ride for everyone on board. And when it reverses, people are going to panic. And I think this pattern is a real signature pattern of what happens when euphoric stage sets in. And we're already seeing some distribution selling going on, some high volume selling blocks. So I think it's a matter of time before it really kind of cleanses the air and has a sharp drop. But right now, you got to stay long. And I think 72 could get hit first before it rolls over.
So you recently wrote that we're looking at a potential rally in cannabis stocks. Can we ask you what names you like and what are you looking out for?
Sure. Well, I don't follow the individual stocks as much. I like to look at the basket, like the MJ ETF, the Harvest. It's got a very strong pattern in it. The long term, this looks like it's roughly 60% upside in the ETF alone, which means some of the individual cannabis stocks are going to double, triple, quadruple if the whole sector rallies. Because usually if a sector rallies, say 50%, the individual stocks are usually going 100, 300, 500% to the upside. So there's a lot of upside potential in the individuals. It's a very volatile market. Obviously, that whole sector had a huge spike when the media got into it several months ago. It's kind of flushed out, and now it's building up a base to go higher. I like it going forward. I think there's a lot of upside, but in terms of individual stocks, I don't really go and pick the individuals at this point.
So curious, have you been watching lumber futures? And what's your read there?
Yeah, the lumber futures are insane. I remember when I built my house in 2011, our builder said, "You're never going to be able to build a house for this again." And I don't trade lumber. I don't know the stats, like the volumes, how it works. But I remember when we built our house, futures were trading around 170, 175, and now they're like 900 or 1,000 for lumber. So to think how much lumber has gone up from 10, 12 years ago is just insane. It's like tenfold. So it's pretty interesting. It's playing a huge role in inflation. I think, even though it's not inflation numbers, the stuff that we need to buy, groceries and building materials, they're through the roof. Building a home now costs, 2 to 3 times what it used to not that long ago. And it's really made it, housing really expensive, because now to replace a house that is old and beat up is going to cost you $500,000, and it's not going to be anything that special.
Crazy. Okay, so last question. Being a Canadian small cap focused platform, we have to ask, what are your thoughts on gold? What are some key levels?
Sure. I like gold. I love the metals, the miners. I think a really key level for gold when you look at gold futures is around the 1760, 1775 area. We're very close to breaking above that. It's the 50-day moving average. The charts on the daily chart are very bullish, the patterns. It's pointing to roughly 1800 will be the next stop. And if gold can get some traction, now gold, silver, and miners are still in a downtrend. But if we can get traction and close above that 1760 area, I think we could see gold start a new trend. And I think gold miners are going to have some huge upside potential. Just the GDXJ, the gold miner junior ETF, has about 86% upside potential based on the big pattern that it has formed. So if a gold miner sector can move 86%, the individual miners are going to be like rocket ships. I used to call them golden rockets back in the last bull market, because they surge hundreds of percent sometimes in a week. So there's a very exciting time brewing. It's not quite here yet. I think we're days away, but I'm not a bottom picker, so I don't jump in just because I get excited. I wait for the charts to confirm from a technical standpoint, and then I start picking and probing and looking for the best plays to get in.
All right, awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining us on the show today, Chris.
Hey, well, thanks for having me again, Cassandra. Take care.
Thanks for watching, and don't forget about that subscribe button on your way out.